Imagine a woman the whole world loved, yet she slept alone most nights. A woman whose smile could light up a room, but whose heart was always a little broken and a little tired. Millions adored her. Millions wished to touch her, talk to her, be her. But the only thing she ever begged for was love. Simple, gentle, ordinary love. On screen, she was magic. Off screen, she was a girl named Norma. A girl who never felt like she belonged anywhere. A star too bright, burning slowly from inside. People saw her beauty. They saw her glamour. They saw Marilyn Monroe. But no one saw the tears she wiped quietly before stepping into the spotlight. No one saw the loneliness hidden behind red lips and perfect curls. No one saw Norma Jean, just the woman the world demanded her to be. And one night when the world was asleep, her voice fell silent forever, leaving behind questions, regrets, and a love she never got to keep. This is not just a story about fame. This is the story of a fragile heart that loved too much and lived too fast. Welcome to the life, the pain, and the haunting mystery of Marilyn Monroe. She was America's dream, a woman whose face lived on billboards, magazines, the walls of boys' bedrooms, and in the fantasies of an entire generation. A smile worth $1 million. A voice soft like silk, a presence you could feel even through a black and white screen. But legends do not start legendary. Before Marilyn Monroe became immortal, she was a little girl named Norma Jean, lonely, unsure, desperate for love, craving warmth in a cold world. Los Angeles, in the year 1926. A baby girl is born into sunshine she would never fully feel. No father to hold her. No stable home to protect her. Only a mother fighting storms inside her own mind. Norma Jean opened her eyes not into comfort, but chaos. Her mother Gladys loved her, but love was not stronger than illness. One day she smiled, hugged her daughter like life was simple. The next day she cried, hallucinated, slipped into madness. Norma, tiny hands trembling, watched men take her mother away to a mental hospital. The door closed. Silence filled the house. And childhood ended. The little girl entered the foster system, passed like a borrowed object from one house to another. A single suitcase became her companion. New families, new beds, new rules. Every time she unpacked, she wondered how long she would stay. Sometimes she was treated kindly, sometimes ignored, sometimes hurt. Nights were the hardest. A dark room. Soft traffic sounds outside. Norma, staring at the ceiling, asking silently why no one tucked her in, why no one said, "I love you," why she was always temporary. She once whispered to herself, "Maybe I am not meant for love." But pain creates hunger, and hunger creates stars. Inside the abandoned girl grew a promise. One day I will be seen. One day I will matter. One day they will remember my name. Years passed. War arrived. Factories roared like beasts. Norma, now a young woman, worked in an airplane plant. Grease under her nails, uniform dusty, hair tied back, she looked nothing like Marilyn Monroe. But destiny never cares who you are today. It cares who you can become tomorrow. A military photographer toured the factory. His camera paused when he saw Norma, her smile nervous, her eyes glowing with hidden light. He lifted the camera. A single click, a single flash. 1 second, but 1 second changed everything. Magazines loved her photos. Modeling agencies called. People noticed the shy girl with angel soft cheeks. And Hollywood noticed too. They gave her a new name, one that sounded like champagne and diamonds. Marilyn Monroe. She dyed her hair golden, practiced walking like the world watched, practiced smiling like nothing ever hurt. She studied movie stars in mirrors, repeated lines until sunrise. She was not born magical, she created magic from pain. Her first roles were tiny. Sometimes she crossed the screen for 3 seconds. Sometimes spoke a line or two. Sometimes cut out entirely. But she did not stop. She had survived worse. Small roles grew. Fans multiplied. Her innocence and sensuality hypnotized America. Then came Niagara, she became fire. Then, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, the world surrendered. Then, the famous white dress scene time froze. Millions watched her. Millions adored her. Millions wanted her. Every camera followed her. Every room brightened when she walked in and dimmed when she walked out. But fame is a spotlight, and spotlights burn. But fame is a spotlight, and spotlights do not warm, they burn. Behind closed doors, Marilyn was not Marilyn. She was Norma, insecure, anxious, afraid. She swallowed pills to sleep, then more pills to wake up. She smiled outside. She cried inside. She laughed at parties, then sobbed alone in hotel rooms. She once told a friend softly, "I feel like people love Marilyn, not me." She dated. She married. She tried to build a home. At 16 years old, she married James Dougherty. He was safe, gentle, stable, but she wanted dreams, not safety. The love faded like a photograph left in the sun. Then came Joe DiMaggio, America's baseball hero. He adored Marilyn, but despised sharing her with the world. Crowds shouting her name like a war chant broke his pride piece by piece. The white dress scene destroyed him. In front of cameras, she looked radiant. Behind them, they argued, cried, shattered. Their marriage broke, but Joe never stopped loving her. For nearly 20 years after her death, he sent roses to her grave every single week. He never married again. When he died, his last words were whispered like a prayer. "I will finally see Marilyn again." Then Arthur Miller, a brilliant writer with gentle eyes. Marilyn believed he understood her soul, but miscarriages carved invisible wounds in her heart. Hollywood stress tightened around her like a rope. Pills became comfort. Arguments replaced passion. Diary pages soaked with loneliness. She wrote one night, "I want to be loved, truly loved." Everyone loved Marilyn Monroe. Not enough loved Norma Jean. Studio executives labeled her difficult, not damaged. Attention. She arrived late. Anxiety made her hands tremble. No one cared. Hollywood loves beauty, not breakdowns. She signed, "Something's got to give." She wanted a comeback. She wanted respect. But depression swallowed motivation. She missed shoots. They fired her. Tabloids mocked her. Later they rehired her because nobody could replace Marilyn. Not truly. Then whispers floated like ghosts in studio corridors. Rumors twisting into headlines, headlines into legends. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Robert Kennedy. Affairs whispered. Meetings undisclosed. Phone calls past midnight. A dangerous intimacy with power. Did she know secrets? Did she hear things better left unheard? Did her diary hold names that shook Washington? We will never know, because that diary vanished the night she died. Not lost, removed. Her final weeks felt like a storm without rain. Some days she sounded bright, hopeful for future roles. Other days she sounded broken, fragile as thin glass. Friends described mood swings like waves high one moment, drowning the next. Photographers captured her in sunshine, but behind bright eyes lived winter. Then came the night the world would never understand. The 4th night of August, 1962. Marilyn spent evening in her Brentwood home. She made long, emotional phone calls. To one friend she said she felt wonderful. To another she confessed she felt empty. Someone claimed she said she had important things to reveal soon. Each call placed like a puzzle piece that never formed a picture. Late night. Bedroom door closed. Warm lamplight kissed the pale sheets. A pill bottle rested on the bedside table. Curtains slightly open, wind whispering. The room breathed sadness. Did she lie back slowly, thinking of childhood pain? Did she dial someone but never speak? Did she wait for someone to knock? Or did she expect someone that never arrived? 2 a.m. Stillness. 3 a.m. Silence. A silence too heavy, too final. Housekeeper Eunice Murray felt something wrong in the air. Lights were on. No movement. Door locked. Heart shaky. Minutes crawled like years. When they forced the door open, Marilyn Monroe lay still, face turned downward, hand holding a phone as if she tried calling for help with her last strength. A pill bottle sat near her hand, but there was no water to swallow pills, no goodbye note, just a frozen tragedy. The world shattered. Questions exploded like fireworks in dark sky. If overdose, where is water? If suicide, why no note? Why were sheets allegedly washed before police arrived? Why did stories change? Why did phone records vanish? Why did neighbors report seeing Robert Kennedy nearby? Why did diary, her soul's notebook, disappear forever? Why did FBI seal files for decades? Too many questions. Too many shadows. Too much silence. Officials declared probable suicide. Media accepted. Millions doubted. Did she accidentally take too many pills? Did she surrender to pain? Did someone help her die? Did someone make sure she died? Was it political protection? A mafia silence? Studio panic? Government involvement? Or the quiet collapse of a woman who carried too much alone? We will never know. Truth sleeps beside her in the earth. Her funeral was small, heartbreakingly small, for someone loved by millions. Joe DiMaggio forbade Hollywood elites from attending. He blamed them for draining her light. He stood there, jaw tight, eyes wet but refusing to fall. He arranged white roses. He laid them gently. Week after week, year after year, for 2 decades, every week without fail. A love story Hollywood never gave her while alive. She died at age 36, too young for goodbye. But death crowned her immortal. Time cannot wrinkle her. She will never age, never fade. Forever golden, frozen in perfection. Films replay her voice. Posters sell her smile. Cafes hang her portraits like saints. Young girls curl lashes the way she once did. Photographers copy her poses. Movies bow to her influence. Artists paint her endlessly. Songs breathe her name. She became myth, not because she lived flawlessly, but because she lived vulnerably. Because she burned bright and broke beautifully. Because she was soft in a world of sharp things. People visit her grave whispering, "We love you." Perhaps now she hears it finally. Perhaps now she feels it fully. Imagine her walking in a white dress through a peaceful heaven, hair glowing, feet bare, smiling softly. No studio pressure, no pills, no tears, just rest. Her life was applause. Her death was silent, heartbreak. But her legacy eternal. Marilyn Monroe did not die. She transformed. Her face lives in history books. Her films will roll long after we are gone. Her smile will continue lighting screens and hearts. She asked quietly, "Please love me." And the world whispered back, "We always will." Fade into soft piano. Let silence breathe for 15 long seconds. The documentary ends. The story ends. The legend does not. But her story doesn't have to end only where her heart stopped. Because after death, something strange happened. The world began loving her more than it ever did while she was alive. As if the universe apologized too late. Imagine her spirit watching from above. Fans laying flowers, strangers crying, newspapers printing her face, Hollywood whispering the same name they once exhausted. Imagine Marilyn standing beside her own grave, looking at her photograph carved into stone, thinking quietly, "So they did love me, I just wasn't here to feel it." There is something painfully beautiful in that. A woman who begged for love her whole life, finally received it when she could no longer hold it. Sometimes life writes tragedies like poets. Now picture Hollywood Boulevard late at night. Rain falling, pavement shining like silver. A lonely fan standing at her star on the Walk of Fame. He bends down, places a single white rose, touches the star as if touching her hand. He whispers, I wish someone had saved you. The camera zooms out slowly, his silhouette small against giant city lights. A soft jazz track plays, like memories dancing. Cut to an old interview clip. Marilyn smiling shyly, adjusting hair, saying, "I just want to be happy." Freeze frame. Narration slow. Why is it that the ones who make the world smile often cry alone? Let's walk through her dreams once more. Because a dream doesn't die when the dreamer does. It stays in the air like perfume, faint, sweet, nostalgic. Imagine a warm afternoon in an alternate timeline. Curtains open wide. Sunlight kisses her face gently. Marilyn wakes up older, calmer, wiser. Silver hair, soft wrinkles like maps of a beautiful past. She brews coffee, sits in a garden, birds singing, wind touching roses she planted herself. A young actress visits her for advice, eyes full of hope like Marilyn once had. Marilyn smiles and says softly, "Don't shine for them, shine for yourself." But in our world, the one we live in, she never reached that chapter. Life closed the book too soon. But maybe on some other page of existence, she got the life she deserved. Now imagine her walking through heaven's Hollywood, where cameras don't exhaust you, where applause doesn't hurt, where beauty doesn't demand your soul. She meets her mother again, glad as healed, calm, mind clear, like morning sky. She runs to her, arms open. This time, no one takes her mother away. They hold each other long, the hug she waited 36 years for. Norma Jean finally feels home. Fade into slow music. Rain sounds slowly dissolving into piano. Narration softer. Marilyn Monroe lived like fire. Bright, warm, impossible to ignore. But fire burns fast. And when it's gone, the darkness feels colder than before. Yet in that darkness, her glow remains. Every time a girl stands in front of a mirror, practicing a smile, every time someone feels broken but tries anyway, every time a dreamer rises from pain, Marilyn lives not in the white dress moment, not in red carpets, not in scandals, but in tenderness behind eyes, in bravery behind beauty, in softness behind chaos. She taught the world that smiles can hide storms, that fame cannot replace love, that even perfect icons have cracks, that loneliness can exist in crowded rooms. Most people die and fade. Marilyn died and multiplied. In memory, in culture, in art, in the very definition of what glamour means. She became the face of vulnerability wrapped in diamonds, the symbol of tragedy dressed like fantasy, a living contradiction the world never resolved. And maybe that's why we can't stop talking about her. Because in every one of us, a small part is like Marilyn, wanting to be seen, loved, understood. Picture now the final emotional scene. Camera slowly pans across her empty bedroom. Lipstick on the table, a glass of half-drunk champagne, script pages scattered like unfinished dreams, a silk robe hanging on a chair, a diary page slightly open, ink blurred by a dried tear. Window curtains sway gently, almost like she walked past them moments ago. The air still smells faintly of her perfume, sweet, haunting, unforgettable. The camera moves closer to the pillow, indent still there, as if she just got up, as if she might walk back in any minute. Narration very slow, with tremble. Maybe she never left. Maybe she's still here. In the stories we tell, in the tears fans shed, in the posters pinned on walls, in the hearts she broke gently, in the dreams she didn't get to finish. Maybe Marilyn Monroe didn't die that night. Maybe only her pain did. Because a woman like her, a heart like hers, a light that bright, does not fade. She lingers. She breathes in memory. She lives in whispers. She survives in every beautiful tragedy we carry. And so, when we say her name, say it softly, like prayer. Marilyn Monroe. Not story, not gossip, not scandal, but a soul broken yet brave. The screen slowly fades to white. Music fades into distant echo. Then silence. A still moment, a single breath, a final line. She wanted love, and she received eternity instead. Fade out completely. End